Are you on the quest for the smallest pocket thrower you can get? Well, the E05 is here to save you. And guys, this is a video that's literally 2 years in the making. Welcome back to Schullights. I said this was 2 years in the making. Why? Because when I first got into enthusiast flashlights years ago, I was on the hunt for a tiny, like a 14500 or maybe a 10440 battery-sized thrower. I wanted something with an Osram W1 in it, something really throwy that I could just slip in my pocket and maybe have next to like my normal EDC. Have something, floody, and then have a thrower. So completely different lights, right? Well, the E05 was on the short list back then, and I got an E05 Ti. Ti just means it's in titanium. This one's an E05Cu, meaning it's in copper. And I got it, and I wanted to love it so badly, but it had this infuriating flaw, and that was that the UI had strobe in the main group. That meant that as you were clicking through, it had mode memory, so you'd go from low to high, and then if you clicked off, you'd go to high again, right? Which mode memory, I'm not a big fan of in some cases. I usually want my lights to start on low, but that wasn't a deal breaker. The deal breaker was you had to click after high into strobe to get back to low. Yes, you had to strobe somebody to get back to low. It was so infuriating. I contacted Manker and they said, oh, we're aware of the problem. We're going to do a new driver. And I waited and waited and waited. It took no joke, a year and a half. But finally they fixed it. And this one has the new driver. Now, why is this the one? Why is this the pocket thrower? Well, listen, it's kind of a short list of what could be in your pocket. You got the FW1AA from Lumen. You have a GT Nano, also from Lumen. Two showings from Lumen. And then there's some other lights on the market, but I don't think any of them do anything better than these three. And then if you're going to want to get much better than these, the only other light I like out there for a pocket thrower jumps to this gigantic ThruNite TN12 Pro. And I think this is an excellent thrower, and it does fit in your pocket, but this would be the kind of light that if I put this in my pocket, I'm not carrying anything else, right? It's only this. Now, to be fair, this has a much brighter, more intense emitter than these guys. These are all going to be W1s, and this is an SFT40, so it's a totally different emitter. But honestly, the hotspot size is very similar on these guys. So let's just say that if you want the intensity, you're going to get this one, but it's in a class of its own, really, isn't it? And so for a long time, it was like, well, do I want this one or this one? Because this one was right out because of its UI problem. Well, the GT Nano, I actually don't like the shape of it. The fact that it's got this, shape that mimics the large GT thrower, nicknamed Giggles, it's cute. It's a fun little gimmick, but in my pocket, I can feel this protrusion. It doesn't sit flat, So I don't like that. And then the included battery is tiny. It's 80 milliamp hours. I mean, you're going to get like 2 minutes of runtime on this. So that is kind of a big problem for me, that one. Then on the FW1AA, this one has a 14500 just like this guy does. So really, these are more in line with each other. So this one, I'm going to say, I tried to love it, really tried, but the battery is too big of a limitation, and I didn't like the shape. So it's out as well. So really, it's down to these two. And the reason why the E05 is now my favorite is because it doesn't use Enduril. And I just don't think I want such a complicated interface on a pocket thrower. I just don't like it. First off, I don't need super low lows. I don't need that. I mean, if I'm using a pocket thrower like this, as I said, it's to complement another light in my pocket, which I'll use for moonlight. So that's not something I need. And also, I like clicky, I like clicking through things. I love it. So anyways, that's arguable. Some people may say that they want Enduril in their light, and that's fine, but that's not for me. Now, as far as size, obviously the E05 is longer, but the FW1AA is wider. I don't know if I can see it on camera, but it's a little bit bigger of a bezel. Not dramatically, but it is wider. The clip on this one is terrible. It's just a god-awful clip. It's really bad. And it's captive. You unscrew this, but I don't think there's a wide array of clips available. I don't know. I just don't love it. This one is a screw-in, so you could unscrew it, and there would be a hole right there where the screw is. But I also kind of feel like, I don't know. It's a great clip. I mean, I should start with that. This is a great clip. I love this clip. It's got the right amount of springiness. It's deep carry. Where it meets on the grip right here, it just doesn't want to come out of your pocket. I love this clip. So, yeah, there you go. I like that. I also like that this has a little trit slot in the back of it. I'm increasingly becoming a fan of having glow or trit somewhere on a light so that in total darkness I can locate it. I guess that's less important for a pocket thrower, but for an EDC light, for a long time, my Boss light here, that was a big problem for me, was that it didn't have any trit slots, and then I drilled out the legs on the optic and put 3 trits in there, and that solved the problem. Let's take a look at the box. It came in this little tin here. It's a little tin, and it had a manual. Kind of more a pamphlet that's folded, and it had a bag with a lanyard and a charging cable. And the reason it had a charging cable is because it included a chargeable 14500. It's got a little USB-C port right there. So that's kind of cool. I mean, not having to have a standalone charger, to be able to take the battery out and charge it right there on the light, that's kind of a really cool thing that you're not going to find with, say, the GT Nano or the Lumen Top unless you go buy it. Because, and actually, that's another thing. The Lumen Top needs flat top batteries. If you put a button top or a battery with a charge port in it, it can actually smash the driver and create problems. The UI is, I think, one of the strengths of this light. It's dead simple. You click it on, it always comes on low. Then you click it again, it goes high. Click it again, it goes back to low. Low, high. That is it. That's what I want from a thrower. Now, if you double click or triple click or anything more than one click, you're going to go to strobe. Here we go. Double. You go to strobe. To exit it, you can just click once and it goes back to low, high, low. Great. So let's click on, click off, right? Very simple. So great interface, easy to use. I should mention that when I first opened this light, it was in a sealed container that I had to cut it was like vacuum sealed, and I had to cut it open. That's because it's copper, and it was machined and sealed right away at the factory, and it had that bright copper look. Now, I've been sitting on this light for a couple months, actually. I got this months ago, and I hadn't released a video. So this has been sitting in the open air, and it's got a nice patina going. Now, I haven't handled it a ton. I mean, a little, a couple days worth, but you can see how it's got kind of a mottled appearance. Now, if I go, put some Brasso or something on it, or some flits, it will shine right up and it'll look like a brand new penny. But I think that, with copper, that's part of the allure, is that it looks different almost every time you pick it up. Just using it can actually rub the patina off and reapply it in a different color, a different shade. So I love the look of copper, and I swear I would carry it so much more if it weren't for the fact that my wife says she hates the smell of it. I guess it's a genetic thing, because to me, it just smells earthy. It's no big deal. To her, it's revolting. Like if I use this a lot, and then I come in and she can smell it on my hands. That's something to be aware of. Now, there's another great thing about copper, and that is it's very dense, it's very heavy, and it conducts heat well. So if you want this light to run peak performance and you get the titanium version, it's going to heat up quicker, which is going to put more stress on the light. But with the copper, it's going to sink the heat more effectively and whisk that heat away from the MCPCB and the driver, which is going to cause it to run better. Now, with some drivers, and I don't have the titanium version anymore because I sold it off because that was the one with the mandatory strobe in the main group. But with a lot of lights, the copper versions will run more lumens for longer before they step down. I don't know if that's true of this version because I got nothing to test it against. But, you know, with copper, you're always going to get the best performance out of your light. One more thing I should point out is this battery has physical reverse polarity protection. And what that means is if you put the battery in the wrong way, it's not going to destroy the driver, not based on electronics, but based on the fact that there is a plastic ring here that prevents this incorrect polarity from touching the driver. So what that means to you is that you need a button top. This has to have a button top. Now, you can use an unprotected button top if you want, and I had one on my other E05 Ti, but that's just something you should be aware. So if you get it from Manker with the included battery, it's going to have the button top. You'll be good to go. Otherwise, get yourself a 14500 with a button top because it needs that to make connection with that little brass button there that is inset around this plastic. All right, so we're at the lumen tube here. Let me just make sure that I got that locked. Now notice that, we got a little bit of light leakage from my video lights, but you can see 0.1 lumens. So actually, I got 0 for a second. Now, let's put it in here. So there's the 0.1. Let's go ahead and click it to low, and we're reading 50 lumens. I call that 50. Now let's go up a level here and go to high. And we got just under 400 lumens. And you can see it's dropping. I'll go ahead and let this run until ANSI. And as I said, the fact that it's copper is probably helping it a lot. Now I think we're getting close to ANSI. I'll have it in the editing, but listen, look at that. It's not dropping much at all. So, all right, there we go. So you can see it didn't drop much at all. What about 15 lumens? Okay. And to the touch, just warm, not hot at all. Just a little bit warm around the head, but it's, dissipating through the body. I can feel that it's getting a little warmer. So it's not hot. And I can feel that the head's not hot at all, and it's actually less hot than it was, and it's moved down the body, and it's down here now. So that is the beauty to copper. And if you want to see why a larger body like this is so great, the battery sag and the smaller body from this little GT, look, you're going to see that at the onset, it's going to be about 350 lumens like the Manker was, but watch what happens. So double click. So it actually started a little higher, but within a second, right? It was at 350. And we'll let this run a little bit and see how it does. Guys, we're not even at 10 seconds. And look how much worse it's doing, right? Oh, and look, it just stepped down. It just flashed to say that it stepped down. So I'm going to have to double click to go back up. It stepped down to, like 50% power or whatever, something like that, because of the way it's designed, that little tiny battery. Okay, let's hang on. Let me click it off. I clicked into strobe. Okay, so I click back up. You can see it's coming right down again. Okay, so that's the thing about a little guy like this. It has absolutely no sustain. So I'm backstage. I want to show you a use case for my flashlights here and how the Manker E05Cu really excels at seeing long-distance objects. In theater, we often are looking for light numbers, and so here I am looking up at the lights, and I've got my exposure locked, and you can't really see anything. I'm going to take my floody 500 lumen light, and you can see that I can pick up these lights in the darkness. Remember, let me turn it off. Look how dark it is back here. It's pretty dark. For comparison, here's the E05 on low, and you can see it's very spotty, right? But watch this. There's high. Look how much brighter it is. Now that's going to come into play when we come to the front of house here. Now I've got some lights on the AP here, and you can see that these lights have little markings next to them, or maybe you can't. But if we take the E05, which is a thrower here, and I bounce it up, let's get a little focus there,
you can see that I can easily see the little white numbers next to the lights in order to activate them on the lighting board. This is why a light that's a thrower like this is really advantageous.
All right, let's do some beam shots outside. Notice that I've got all 4 lights, including the Through Night TN12 Pro, which really is in a class all by itself. It's a much bigger light with a much bigger emitter, but I will show you how it looks just for comparison's sake. All right, so let's start out with that guy. I've got exposure locked. I'm going to go to turbo. And just a reminder, this tree right here is 20 meters away. This second tree right here is 55 meters. And the 4 in the back are 150 meters. So this is full turbo with the SFT 40. And then there's in the back. So 55 meters, 150 meters. Okay, now that's going to be the brightest light by far. And not really fair, but I'll just throw it out there. Now, when I do these 3, and I'll spend more time on these, I'll do comparisons, I want to point out I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the FW1A, and the reason why is because this is not an Osram W1, so again, I don't think it's totally fair. The version I've got actually has a 219C in it, which is a much floodier emitter. It's not as small of a phosphor surface. So I'll show it for comparison's sake. So let's go Manker E05 with the W1 in my left hand, and then the Lumen Top FW1 AA in the right hand, but it's got a 219C, remember that. So anyways, we're going to click this on and go to high, and then click this on and go to turbo. So there's turbo on that tree and turbo on that tree. So here is the Lumen Top, and here is the Manker. Let's go to 55 meters. Let's get focused. 55 meters, that's the Lumen Top, and here is the Manker. And you can see that the Manker definitely has more candela. And at the back at 150, you can see the Manker makes it a lot better than the Lumen Top. But again, if this Lumen Top had been the version with the W1, I'm sure they would have been pretty comparable. But here's really the matchup we want. We want the Manker E05 with the W1 against the GT Nano, also with the W1. Now, interestingly, the shape of the reflector in the GT Nano is more concentrated. So let's take a look at this nearby tree over here. So I'll click on the Manker, and then I'll go to high. Look how it fills up a good portion of that tree. Now let's go to the GT Nano, and you see it's more concentrated. Here, let's take a look on the street here. So hopefully you can see, got both of them in frame, that the GT Nano is a little more concentrated. It's a tighter beam. But we already just saw there some flashing. We can already see the problem that is occurring with the battery on this GT Nano. Now, I have not recharged it since we did the test inside. So, you know, it's already not fully charged, because remember, there's only 80 milliamp hour battery in this inside this thing. So that is definitely the problem. It's just kind of like a party trick. So here we go. Let's take a look at both here. We'll click them on and go to turbo. So tree over there, and then here's the GT Nano over there. And you can see the GT Nano does have a little more candela, but watch this. Oh, see, it's already stepping down. And now it instantly has much less candela. So that's the thing, right? If you want to play around with a light and show people, you know, hey, look at my crazy little tiny light, and just, you know, shine it for a couple seconds, then the GT Nano is fine, but it just doesn't make a good pocket thrower. So that's why I think that the Manker E05 is my new pocket thrower of choice. It's substantially smaller than the TN12 Pro from Through Night, and, you know, as I said, I just like the interface. I like the shape so much better than the FW1 AA. It's just, you know, click for low, click for high, click for off, trim slot. Yeah, this is my choice. All right, so we're in the conclusion of my video. I do believe that the Manker E05 Cu and Ti are two great models of pocket throwers and my current favorite for such a light. I've got some flits here. I figured I'd finish the video out by returning this light to its former glory, right? So with the flits here, probably shouldn't use my fingers, but I always do. And I'll just go ahead and rub a little flitz on, and then you kind of like let it sit for a second, and then get a soft cloth so you don't scratch the copper, and just go ahead and wipe like this, and you can see that beautiful shiny copper just show up right away. So copper's really fun because you can do this. It's really fun that it's like an ever-changing finish. You can shine it up really, really good, get it back to that original copper machined look, or let it patina. So again, Flitz I think is a great product, and it won't hurt it in any way. Let me take time out of the video at the end here to acknowledge my sponsor for this video, which was FlashlightGo.com. Their website is on screen right now, and there's a link to the Manker E05 Copper Edition in the description of this video. They're a stand-up website, good guys, and they are a reseller, which is actually sometimes a good thing, because if you order from the manufacturers directly, often they'll be back ordered, or it's coming from China. It takes longer. Flashlight Go has a nice pipeline. They're trying to get the flashlight to you right away. All right, so I just finished polishing it up. It looks gorgeous. Just as good as when I first got it out of the airtight bag. And so it only takes about a minute or two to get it back to the States. So if you love the shine of freshly polished copper, then it's easy to do. But I do think that part of the fun of a copper light is the ever-changing landscape that is its surface. Just kind of like let it patina, let all those rainbow hues appear, and then wipe them off if you just get tired of it. So check out Flashlight Go, guys, in the description. They sent this flashlight. They supported the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.